Welcome back, everybody. So we just got some awesome news about that third Walking Dead spinoff that's coming. They announced it a couple of weeks ago, and they just said it's in development. But today they confirmed it 100%. They gave us a lot of good information about it, like an actual description to the series, how many episodes, who's going to be working on it. So we got a lot of good information that we're going to break down in this video today. So with that being said, let's get started. All right, so this is very exciting stuff. We're officially getting a third Walking Dead spinoff. I can't wait for it. I mean, I love this show and I can watch as much as they give me. So here's the exact report. They said Matt Negrete, a veteran writer on the flagship, will serve as showrunner on the 10-episode series he co-created alongside franchise chief content officer Scott M. Gimple. So this is a lot different than, you know, The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. It's not going to be like 16 episodes. It's only going to be 10 episodes. But given that's going to be the first season, so who knows, maybe if there's going to be more seasons, which I'm not sure if a show like this will have more seasons, and I'll get to that why in a second, because it looks to be like kind of separate from everything else. But again, we don't know for sure. Just the description seems a little bit, you know, different than everything else. But with that being said, I do think 10 episodes could be a good thing, because a lot of shows work well in 10 episodes, and I think they can do a lot with 10. But let's read the description and talk about why I think that this show might be separate than everything else in the universe. So they said, few details were immediately available about the third series, other than that it will feature 2 young female protagonists and focus on the first generation to come of age in the apocalypse as viewers know it. Production will begin in the summer in Virginia for a 2020 premiere on AMC. The Lord of the Flies-like series will feature a new corner of the world. Here's AMC's formal description. Some will become heroes, some will become villains. In the end, all of them will be changed forever, grown up and cemented in their identities, both good and bad. The Order arrives as the original series introduced, and spoiler alert, killed off several younger characters in season 9. So that end bit is obviously referring to the main show and how there's like a lot of young people there, because it does say like it's going to focus on the first generation to come of age in the apocalypse. So it could be like it's going to be those people who grew up in the apocalypse. That's I think what the show is going to be about. So I do think it could be connected to the main show. Like maybe they take some kids and put them in that main show. Maybe some kids leave, and then it's gonna focus on them, or it could just be like 2 random people, but it's gonna be like young people who were born into the apocalypse. I mean, I am hoping for it to be connected to the main show. They did say it's gonna be like in its own corner of the universe. That's why I'm a bit like skeptical. Like, how are some kids gonna go over there? Like some kids from the main show, how are they gonna go there? But I still think it's possible, and I want to talk about a couple ideas of who it could be. I would love for it to be Judith, because she's like one of the young people on the show who's actually relevant. Some of the other kids aren't that relevant; they're just in the background. But I think Judith would be an awesome person to build another universe around, because you know she is connected with Rick, who started off this show, right? And I think if they even maybe do like a little bit of a time skip or something, if they don't want to keep it like super young, like the age she is now, like maybe they could do another time skip, or like this series could be in the future and it could be like an older Judith. That would be a little tricky though, because I feel like if that's gonna happen, Judith would most likely be off the main show, because if we see her on both the main show, like the young version, and then we see her on this spin-off, like the older version, I feel like that would be a little weird, don't you think? But I think it's possible too, because a lot of people, like we know Michonne is leaving in season 10, and a lot of people think that she's going to take Judith with her, and I think that would be a good opportunity to do that if they are focusing on her. But if she does leave in season 10 with Michonne, she most likely everybody would expect her to pop up in the Rick Grimes movies. So again, the timelines are very tricky in the situations, because there's so many like, you know, like movies and TV shows now where characters can pop in and out of. So we don't know exactly how it's gonna work, but all I'm saying is that I would love for there to be a Judith spinoff, because she's definitely like, you know, they said it's gonna be a young, like 2 young female protagonists. She's like basically the only young character who's really relevant. I'm gonna talk about one more who I think it could be in a second. But Judith, I think, would be a perfect person to have a new spin-off on. And when they say like young female protagonist, I'm assuming it's going to be somebody like maybe late teens, early 20s, like around the age like Enid is or something, right? So I just don't think it's gonna be like as young as Judith is, so they most likely would have to recast her if that is the case. But again, I don't know, it's hard for me to see that happening, just because like I think the actress we have right now for Judith, like she's done such a great job. I don't think they just want to, you know, kick her off the show for no reason. So that's why I'm a little bit at odds with that. But regardless, I still think a Judith spin-off in the future would be necessary. And if this somehow is that spin-off, like maybe it's gonna be like 10 years in the future, I think that'll be awesome. And who knows like how long it's gonna be when Michonne leaves to go find Rick, like how long it's gonna take it to do that, because they did say it's gonna be like in a new corner of the world, which is how they're kind of explaining what happens with Rick. So maybe when if Judith and Michonne go to find Rick or something, maybe Judith is like, maybe they're there for a long time and Judith like grows up there or something. Like what if they do something like that? If they do something like kind of in that direction, then yeah, it's gonna definitely be possible for this new spin-off coming in 2020, like the same year as our first Rick Grimes movie. It could definitely be, you know, related to Judith. And it's coming in 2020, they confirmed, which is also going to be season 10 of The Walking Dead. And season 10 is going to begin at the end of this year, but it's going to wrap up next year. So it's obviously going to most likely come out after The Walking Dead season 10. I don't see it coming like in the beginning of the year. The Walking Dead ends like around March, April. So that's when season 10 is going to end. And in this series, I kind of see happening maybe during the summer or something. Fear the Walking Dead season, I mean, it's going to be a big year for The Walking Dead in 2020. We got The Walking Dead season 10, we got the Rick Grimes movie, the first one coming out. We got Fear the Walking Dead season 6. If that gets renewed, it most likely will. And now we got this. So it's going to be a big year. So I don't know exactly when they're going to fit it in, but I definitely think it's going to be after season 10 of The Walking Dead. So let's say Judith leaves in season 10. That would make it possible for this spin-off to be about her. Another person that comes into mind is Charlie from Fear the Walking Dead. And the reason I bring that up, and this is going to be a very wild like crossover if this happens, but I think it's possible because they did say it's going to focus on 2 young female protagonists, the first generation to come of age in the apocalypse, and it's also going to be some will become heroes and some will become villains. Now Charlie is not necessarily like a villain, like yeah, she killed Nick and she was part of a bad group, but these two, like Charlie and Judith, they're around the same age almost, right? I think Charlie's like a little bit older, but they're both very young, and they're both like, I would say, the most prominent young characters, like young female characters in the show, because everybody else is like in the background besides those two, because all the other kids on The Walking Dead are just in the background, right? So but Charlie and Judith aren't. Like Charlie has a pretty good role on Fear the Walking Dead. She's around the main group, she's interacting with them, she's doing stuff with them. Same thing with Judith, she's on the main show actually doing stuff, not just in the background playing. So that's what I mean, like these two are the most, you know, respective young kids on the show. So I think building a series around them, if this series is going to be connected to the main like story, Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, I feel like these two are going to be the young generation female characters to come onto that show. And I think if this show is going to be about people becoming heroes and villains in the apocalypse, I definitely think bringing on these two characters, these 2 young female characters, would be the perfect choice, just because they both come from different backgrounds. Like Charlie was part of a bad group, so maybe when she gets older she's gonna become a villain again because she remembers. It depends how long she spends time with like Alicia and them, so we don't know for sure. But what I'm trying to say is like I don't see Judith becoming a villain or anything. Like, you know, we see how she is right now, like she's very helpful, she's like Grimes. Like I don't see her becoming a villain. I could see Charlie becoming a villain again, and if these two somehow get put in a bad situation and they get older, I think these two would be a good example of people becoming heroes and people becoming villains. Like we saw what Mel did, right? That was the guy's name, I think, the villain who was in Charlie's group, Mel. Like we saw what he did. Like they would just stand outside of the community, Alicia's community, and just take their stuff. So if, you know, let's say Charlie and Judith are put in a situation where they're starving and they have no food and they just don't know what to do, like maybe Charlie will remember what Mel did and, you know, how helpful that was for him, even though it was a bad thing, and maybe she's going to become a villain again. I just don't see Judith doing that because, you know, she wants to go help the Hilltop. Like she wants to go out of her way to help the Hilltop. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think if the show is going to be talking about people becoming heroes and villains, I think these two would be the perfect choice if it's going to be connected to Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead. The tricky part is seeing these two characters like Judith and Charlie come together on one show. Just because they're from different shows and they're super far apart, like I just don't, like, it's kind of hard to see that happening, even though I really hope it does. But I definitely think it's possible, because maybe this show, this new spin-off, maybe it even comes after Fear the Walking Dead season 6. So in season 10 of The Walking Dead, they set up Judith leaving, and then in season 6 of Fear the Walking Dead, they set up Charlie leaving. And then this show will air after Fear, and it will have both those characters in it. But nonetheless, I'm very excited for this series, because I always thought it was fascinating seeing people become villains and heroes in the apocalypse, like seeing what happens during their journey to shape them into who they are. And I'm excited for a third spin-off. I think if it's connected to the main show, it's going to be even more exciting. And Matt Negrete, who's going to be showrunning this, I'm excited because he's written a lot of good episodes for The Walking Dead. I mean, he's written episodes like The Storm, Bounty, What Comes After, Rick's final episode. He wrote Wrath. He wrote The First Day of the Rest of Your Life, Say Yes, The Last Day on Earth, and a ton more episodes. If you just look up his wiki, he has like a bunch of episodes. He's been on the show for a long time, so it makes sense why he would be the showrunner for this new series. So with that being said, let me know in the comments down below who you think this spin-off could be about, or do you think it's going to be like some brand new characters, or do you think it's going to be characters who are on the main show? Like, who knows, it could be Lydia too. Like, she's a young character, it could be about her. But let me know in the comments down below who you think this new spin-off is going to be about, and what do you think is going to happen. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like rating, and for more Walking Dead videos just like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.